Next up are the Blu-rays. I have over 10 Blu-rays here, so more than usual. I think they actually outweigh the DVDs this time, which is not usually the way it goes. I usually have more DVDs. First one I got from Disney Rewards. They finally put on the fifth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which I just wasn't crazy about the first time I saw it in theaters. I thought it was alright. It was better than number 4, which I literally fell asleep during in the theaters. It was, 4 just doesn't do it for me. It has a very theater kind of look to it because the director Rob Marshall came from that background, and it just doesn't meld right with me. The directorial style with the adventure and fantasy of this world didn't meld with me. But this one, the guys who did Kon-Tiki, I forget their names, I believe they're Swedish, they did this one. And it's definitely reined in a little bit more in terms of the world. They're a better choice to direct a film like this, I'll say. And Johnny Depp is back. He's better than he was in the 4th film, but, you know, he'll never really match the magic that he achieved, I think, in the first 3 films. Actually, I don't think these movies will ever achieve the magic that Gore Verbinski did with the first trilogy, which I do love. The first one's, like, near perfect for me. The other 2 I really do enjoy. I know a lot of people give them shit. But the 5th one here, Dead Men Tell No Tales, pretty forgettable. I don't remember much about it, honestly. I remember Javier Bardem, he's in it? Yes. Jeffrey Rush, right. And, of course, they try to pull on the heartstrings a little bit with Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom making an extended cameo or cameo sort of thing. But, yeah, I want to give this one another whirl. And, of course, I'm a completionist, so I had to have all the Pirates movies. I now have them. And, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. At least it's in the collection for completion's sake. And I'll give it another whirl. Hopefully I enjoy it a little bit more than I did when I saw it in theaters. So, Pirates of the Caribbean's Dead... Fuck, this title. Too long. Next up is Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I have seen The Dark Knight Returns Part 1, and I owned both of them on Blu-ray, Part 1 and Part 2. I traded them in at the bookstore and got this, basically for nothing. It was like an even sort of trade it worked out to be. And what this actually does, it's the deluxe edition, deluxe edition, it kind of blends both together in a seamless, over 2-hour film. That's brilliant. I love that. I mean, so I could stop it at when the first one ends, or just continue watching it as a standalone movie. I think that is so cool, because, I mean, they really are, like... I've actually not seen the second one. I started it, but it was really late and I passed out, and it just picks up right where the first one left off. So there's no reason that they shouldn't be one film, you know? So it's about 140 minutes long, which is long, don't get me wrong, for an animated film. But man, the first one blew me away with the animation and the story. Obviously, this is one of the big Batman stories, comic book, graphic novel-wise, which I haven't read. I don't read many comics or graphic novels. I do read them, but not many. And, yeah, I thought this was so cool. I didn't know this existed, so I traded in my 2 Blu-rays, got this, and that is I'm doing well. I'm a little rusty. Batman Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition. Really cool. Bunch of special features, too, which weren't on the other discs, or at least some of them weren't on the other discs, so very cool stuff. Next up, same thing, bookstore. So many of these came from the bookstore, guys. I kind of cleaned up a little bit, spent too much money. But when it comes down to it, it's like, you know, they're like $2 a piece. And in this case, I sold my 2 Purge movies, 1 and 2, Anarchy, the first one in Anarchy. And again, it was sort of basically an even trade for the trilogy. So, got all these in a concise box set. I know there's a 4th one. I'm pretty sure there might be a 5th one coming, if I'm not mistaken. There's the first Purge, which is a prequel. I know there's a TV show, so this is just a whole franchise now. But man, I loved Anarchy. Loved Anarchy. It reminded me of Escape from New York. I think I talked about it in an early What I've Watched episode, one of my early ones. And loved Purge Anarchy. I liked the first Purge. Hopefully Election Year holds up with the rest of them. I don't think it's going to exceed my expectations in terms of how I felt about Purge Anarchy, because I really did love it. But we'll see. So this is the 3-movie collection, Purge 1, 2, and 3. Had to pick this up when I saw it at the bookstore, so... Purge. Same thing on this. Now, this one I did spend $2.50 on, but I had to get it because I have to give these movies a chance with the sort of films that I love, the sort of horror films and schlocky films that I love. I think I'm going to get enjoyment out of these. And that is the trilogy. I know there are like 6 now or something. Trilogy of the first 3 Sharknado movies. Sharknado 1, 2, and 3. I don't know much about these films. I mean, what do you need to know besides it's a shark tornado? It's all I really need to know. You've got chainsaws in the back, and it's gonna be mayhem. It's gonna be insane. Asylum hit gold with this one, it seems. And I'm assuming their style of filmmaking sort of lends to this sort of franchise. So I can't wait to give it a whirl. Sharknado is a franchise I've been wanting to get into. So yeah, got the trilogy for $2.50. Can't beat it. Next up, I'm a glutton for punishment and a completionist. So I picked up Leatherface, which I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong, I believe it's a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's unbelievable how many Texas Chainsaw Massacre films there are now. I want to say there are like 8 films. They just seem to sneak in there every few years, and nobody really is asking for them or is talking about them. They just kind of come and go every few years. And I think this is the latest one. Yeah, 2017. So this is the latest one. I'm pretty sure they have one in production now. But yeah, Leatherface. It's a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's probably not very good. But again, I'm a completionist. I want all of these movies, so I have the entire collection, so I could do a review on them or just watch them back to back, whatever. So yeah, Leatherface. Who directed this? Julian Maury and Alexander Bustillo. Yeah. Never heard of them. So hopefully it exceeds my expectations, which are pretty low. Next one up I actually picked up off of eBay, and that's because I found the Blu-ray sealed at a Goodwill, sold it, funded this, got it for, I think I spent $1 on it after all was said and done. That is the 2-movie collection of, I always get these titles f***ed up, so forgive me, Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. These are like buddy movies with Clint Eastwood and a chimpanzee. It was the late 70s, man. I don't know what to tell you. These are probably going to be pretty fun. I don't know much about them. I know they're action flicks. I know they're very masculine sort of films. Based on the screenshots in the back, Eastwood is just throwing his dukes up. And I don't know what to really expect. It's going to be a fun buddy action comedy. Hopefully fun buddy action comedy movies with Clint Eastwood and a chimp. So, Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can on Blu-ray double feature. Really cool. Next up, got at the bookstore again for $2.50. I traded in my copy of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal and Manhunter and got this for virtually nothing. If not, I made a little bit of credit or money. But Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal, all in one nice, concise Blu-ray case, which I love. To conserve space, I will do this all day long, as you guys have seen with a few other of the trilogies here. So, really cool. Not all of the Hannibal Lecter films. I wish this had the prequel, which I hear is pretty bad, but for completion's sake, I wish this did have the prequel. So, I've seen all these films. I like to love all these films. Manhunter, I want to give it another whirl. It stars Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter, who I remember doing a really good job despite the immaculate performance by Anthony Hopkins. So Silence of the Lambs, of course, is an absolute horror, thriller, crime classic. Yes, I said horror first because all those people that say that this is not a horror film, it is totally a horror film. It's about cannibalism. It's about a human fucking monster. It's a horror crime thriller. Damn it. Love the movie. Hannibal, I also like. Ridley Scott coming in to do a Hannibal Lecter film. It has its moments, it really does. It's just paced a little poorly, and it's the script is a little shoddy at times, and it's a bit overlong. But it's visually pleasing. Of course, it's Ridley Scott. It's got some good performances. Of course, Hopkins is back as Hannibal Lecter, so you can't go wrong in that sense. But definitely some scenes that really stuck with me, like the scene where Hannibal Lecter's eating out of the dude's skull, Vince Vaughn's skull. He's eating his brain out of his lobotomized... It's a really disturbing scene. Fucked me up when I saw it as a kid, too. So, I love that I got these all in one concise set. That is Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal on Blu-ray. Next up, Planet Terror. Finally upgraded to Blu-ray on this one. Can you believe it took me this long? Had this on DVD forever. But, at the bookstore, it was $2, $2.50, and I had to pick it up. So, you guys all know Planet Terror. It's an insane Robert Rodriguez grindhouse action flick with sci-fi elements and horror elements. It's insanity on celluloid, and I love it. It's fantastic. It's definitely the better of the two out of Death Proof and Project project. Planet Terror, definitely like this one a little bit more than Death Proof. It's just a blast. It's just a balls to the wall, cheese fest, tongue-in-cheek. They know what they're making. Robert Rodriguez, this is when he's at his best. Love this movie. Planet Terror. Can't feel my legs. Can't feel my legs. Can't feel my... Alright, next up, same thing, guys. Bookstore. Like I said, I cleaned up. Got some of the Justice League movies, which I'm slowly transferring my DVDs up here over to the Blu-rays. It's a slow, laborious process, but as I find them, I pick them up. Justice League Doom. Haven't seen this one yet. The guys at the bookstore said that it's a good one from the DC animated vault, and I'm looking forward to checking it out, but I can't really speak on it because I don't know anything about it. Justice League Doom on Blu-ray. Next one up, I had to pick this up just because I'm a fan of the genre, and the first time I watched it, I was pretty underwhelmed. But then I watched Neil Blomkamp's next film, Chappie, and I was like, wow, Chappie. I didn't like Chappie at all. It was like a hour-and-a-half long Die Antwoord commercial. And I like Die Antwoord, but, you know, it just wasn't what I expected. So I had to pick up Elysium, because I really, really want to give this one another whirl. Pay attention to the concepts a little bit more and see what Blomkamp has to say with this one, because it sort of was his follow-up to District 9 in a lot of ways. Matt Damon in like he's got like a weird cyborg sort of setup, and I don't remember shit about this film except for the ring, the sort of biosphere ring outer space ship thing. I'm articulating that very poorly, but you probably know what I'm talking about. That image really struck me. But I don't remember anything about this movie. It's a hard R, it's violent, it's, you know, it's an action film, it's a sci-fi film. I just need to watch it again to refresh my memory and give this another fair shot, because I think it's one I'm going to end up liking a little bit more than I originally did. Definitely more than Chappie. So, yeah, Elysium, starring Matt Damon. Next up is a Narnia film on Blu-ray here. I recently picked up Prince Caspian, and now I have Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Now, this box is destroyed. Don't get me wrong, but I got it for $1. Disc is in fine shape, so that's all I really care about. You know, the movie's in good shape. The box, yeah, it's a little rough, but whatever. I don't own the first Chronicles of Narnia film, live-action film, on Blu-ray, which I could have sworn I did. I don't even own it on DVD, and I really like that movie. So I need to track that one down so I could have the whole trilogy. I know they've been trying to get the Silver Chair and some more of these books made into movies over the last decade with quite a bit of failure. But I hope they do come back to the big screen, because these are cool. This is a cool fantasy world that I do like visiting and revisiting. So, and I'm nostalgically attached to. I grew up watching the cartoon, the animated movie actually from the 70s, but I caught it in the early 90s at my grandma's house, and it totally swept me away into the world of Narnia. You know, there's a scene with the kids going through the wardrobe, and they just keep going and going, moving clothes out of the way in boxes, and totally inspired me as a kid. You know, my sister and I would recreate that and sort of try to find Narnia in our closet. The child's imagination really comes into fruition with these films, and I want to revisit them and sort of watch the whole trilogy, because I haven't even seen this one. So that is Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is a mouthful, but based off of the books by C.S. Lewis, of course. Pretty cool. Alright, next up is Justice League Unlimited on Blu-ray. I haven't even cracked this yet. So essentially what happened, I picked up Justice League, well actually I've had Justice League Unlimited on DVD for quite some time. So I started watching Justice League Unlimited, and one of the guys at the bookstore, Dennis, he basically said that this is the second series, and that I should start with Justice League, which we had at the bookstore and I showed you. So I picked that up, started watching that instead. But I was loving this when I started it. So what I did was sell my DVDs, picked up the Blu-ray here for like $15, brand new. Not bad, this is the entire series. So I'm looking forward to getting through Justice League and then checking out Justice League Unlimited, because I know it's going to be just as good, if not better. So that is Justice League Unlimited. Justice League and this show, they've blown me away thus far. So I'm looking forward to digging a little deeper into them and seeing what they have to offer. So, Justice League Unlimited. I'm getting better with banging the Blu-rays on the table. Next up is another Justice League film. I'm really in a DC mood these days. I don't know, DC's doing a lot of things that I feel Marvel isn't, and I'm getting more out of the DC universe, even the live-action universe, than I am out of the Marvel universe, and that's okay. You know, maybe I've always been more of a DC sort of guy. Love X-Men, but growing up, it was all sort of about Batman for me. I always loved Batman, and this is Justice League: The New Frontier, with some incredibly cool artwork there. I forget the guy who did it. Yeah, this is supposed to be another really good one. Looking forward to checking it out. I don't know anything about it, so I can't really speak on it. But A New Frontier, or The New Frontier, Justice League movie on Blu-ray. Alright, last but not least. Whew! This is the last Blu-ray I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to get into some other items here that are a little off the beaten path for this show. Next up isn't necessarily extravagant or a special movie. I haven't seen it. It may be special. But that is The Rock in Snitch. Now, I've been wanting to see this one for some time. I checked out Faster. You know, when The Rock was sort of getting into more just straight-up action roles before he went super blockbuster, big-budget movie, he was doing these little, tiny, smaller films. Things like Faster, The Rundown, of course, early on in his career, and Snitch. Now, Snitch is directed by Rick Roman Waugh, and I noticed that name because he just directed a movie I saw called Shot Caller, which was a really, really good crime drama, prison drama, starring Nikolai Coster-Waldau. I'm fucking up that name, but from Game of Thrones. Really, really good flick, and he really showed a good sense of visceral violence and just a viscerosity, if that's a word, to the way he shoots his movies. So I had to pick this up for that reason. He also just did Angel Has Fallen, which is, another, the third in the Has Fallen series with Gerard Butler. So I picked up Snitch. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Hopefully it surprises me. I don't know much about it, so I'm hoping for just a balls-to-the-wall action flick with The Rock. That's what I asked for, and hopefully it'll deliver. So, Snitch. Alright, so next up is, like I said, something that's a little bit off the beaten path for me. As you guys know, I'm not too deep into the comic world, but I like to say that basically film is the foundation for everything that I collect. You know, besides video games, that's a different thing, but when it comes to graphic novels and comics and books and merchandise, things like that, film is the foundation. So the reason I picked these up are all basically related to that idea. The first one, these are all from the bookstore, by the way, and the first one I picked up was The Crow. Now, actually, I can get my little stand for this, too. The Crow. I love the film, of course. Please stay. I love the film, of course, and I recently talked about it in a What I've Watched episode, a recent one, and this is the original graphic novel. Actually written by J. Obar. That's right, I think James Obar. And I had to pick this up when I saw it. It ended up being like, I think, $5 with my discount. So I had to pick it up, again, because film is the foundation, right? So I love the film. I want to go back and read the graphic novel. The artwork in this just looks beautiful, guys. Absolutely beautiful. And poignant and dark and gritty. So, hopefully you guys can see this okay. I'm really looking forward to checking this out. I'm sure I'm going to really enjoy it. So yeah, really cool. The Crow graphic novel. Awesome stuff to pick up. Alright, so next up is a stack of graphic novels, manga, from the same artist and writer, Junji Ito. Now, I know Ito because I know the films Tomie, which I love, and Uzumaki, which I love. I love both of the films tremendously. They are both fantastic Japanese horror films, both from the early 2000s, actually. Tomie might be 99. Either way, really great movies, and so Junji Ito's basically, a bunch of his books came in at the bookstore, and I had to pick them up. I know, look at this. This is insane. They're taking up the whole table. So we'll go through these real quick. Junji Ito's Frankenstein. I mean, that's all that needs to be said. I mean, Junji Ito's Frankenstein, if you know Junji Ito, he does some wild stuff, guys. Crazy out there, Lovecraftian, very Lovecraftian work. I know one of his main influences, Lovecraft. It has to be. Forgive the setup here. I'm winging it. Next up is Uzumaki, which basically follows a town that is being overtaken by spirals. Everybody's turning... Get out of my face, Buggy! Everybody's turning into spirals and snails and spiral things, and it's very, very weird, super Lovecraftian, just brooding horror. that doesn't take itself too seriously, which is really, really good for the film's sake. And so yeah, Uzumaki, again guys, look at this artwork. Look at this artwork. It's phenomenal. It's so out there and so tendrily unbelievable. So I gotta move a little faster. Tomie. This is a story about bullying. It's a ghost story about bullying. And it is fantastic and really creepy. The movie I'm talking about, at least, with a really catchy theme song goes, "If you come for me, I will kill you." And it's done in like a very, how do you say, the voice is like automated, so it's like a robot voice, and with some really creepy piano or synth. The movie I love, so I'm assuming I'm gonna love the graphic novel here. Again, I mean, just the artwork takes my breath away. So that's that one. Now these three I don't know anything about. Gyo, which is again Junji Ito, obviously, and I don't know anything about this. Floating smell of death hangs over the island. What is it? A strange legged fish appears on the scene. Again, super Lovecraft, right? So really looking forward to this one. It looks great, just like the rest of his work does. And what do we got here? Smashed. This is a anthology story collection, so that's really cool. Junji Ito, of course. And Shiver. This is another selected story, so anthology has a few different stories in here. So really, really cool stuff. So all these came in from the same person, and I knew I was going to be buying them because I've been really wanting to get into Junji Ito's actual manga, his actual artwork, his graphic novels, since I really enjoy the films that were based on his work up to this point. So that is a little bit off the beaten path, like I said, guys, and I've never really talked about graphic novels on this show, but I picked them up. I figured I'd show you since film is the foundation here. And really cool stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed me taking a look at those. Let me know if you did so I can continue kind of peppering in more things that I'm passionate about, like this kind of stuff and like video games. I just want to thank you guys for checking out this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's gonna be a long one. I may end up splitting it up into 2 parts. I don't know yet. I gotta see how long it is after editing it. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of some of my pickups now that you've seen them, so feel free to leave that in the comments below. We'll get a discussion rolling as usual. And if you're new to the channel and liked what you saw, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as well as the little bell for notifications. Anyway, guys, I will see you next time. Bored Cyborg out. Hell yeah, it's like riding a bike, baby.